What would you say if I asked you what linked the Toyota GR Racing Hilux, Volkswagen ID3, Rolls-Royce Spectre, and the Bugatti Veyron?
I unfortunately cannot hear your answers, but if you did say that South Africa was crucial to their development, you'd be right. Over the years, this country has become essential to pushing all kinds of cars to their limits, taking good models and making them great. But there is something extremely special about South Africa that has led some of the greatest cars of the last 20 years to beef up within our borders. A pair of gems in the middle of the desert of the Northern Cape, where some of the fastest cars in the world go to see what they are made of. A national highway where you can double the speed limit, and a test track so secretive that it managed to evade Google Earth for nearly 2 decades. This is the story about why South Africa has become so crucial to the creation of the world's greatest cars. Before we get into the realm of world beaters, let me just quickly explain why South Africa is such a great location for testing all kinds of cars, and it's got to do with weather. When a company designs a car, they have no idea where a driver could end up taking it. So they have to test their prototypes in the most extreme conditions that a car could hypothetically be expected to face. For cold weather, they head to Arjeplog in Sweden, and I'm really banking on the fact that there are no Swedish people watching this video.
Arjeplog.
But for hot weather testing, they head down to sunny South Africa.
Because it's not just the fact that we have the heat, it's the fact that we experience it in so many different situations.
Car testers can head down to Cape Town, where there's low altitude, twisty mountain roads, and the unique experience of getting stuck behind a cyclist that is riding a bike worth more than a house, but still refuses to use a cycle lane. Then you can head to Durban for increased humidity and the inevitability in KZN that you will be rear-ended by a taxi on a single lane highway going 170. And finally, you can head up to Joburg for high, dry altitude testing and suspension tuning, because in Joburg, it feels like there's a pothole every 9 meters. We also keep the same fuel standards and octanes as Europe, meaning the cars are likely to be tested in the same way that they're likely to also be used. These conditions are great for most tests, but what if you need to go extreme? Extreme dust, extreme heat, and extreme speed. For this, there's only one place in this country, and it's Uppington in the Northern Cape. Uppington is consistently one of the hottest towns in this country, regularly reaching 45 degrees Celsius in summer. It also has a relatively large airport, meaning that cars and parts and people can be shipped directly to Uppington instead of having to go through Cape Town International or OR Tambo Airport.
Plus, the Northern Cape has the benefit of only having 8 people that live there. So if you're testing the new Porsche sports car or Bloodhound World Speed Record car, you're not going to have a whole bunch of prying eyes taking photos and watching you work.
This may sound pretty ideal for car testing, but there are other places that are hot and sparse. But there are 2 other gems in the Northern Cape that make it truly unique. One is just west of Uppington, a stretch of the N14 highway between Pofadder and Kakamas.
Currently, I am on a South African highway going 120 kilometers an hour. And this is stock standard. This is what happens all across the country. However, on this stretch of the N14, with government permission, you can legally go 250 kilometers an hour for 55 kilometers.
This makes it the fastest stretch of road on the African continent, and it's what brought the Bugatti Veyron and other hypercars to our shores before they were sold to the public. It's not just the fact that the cars can be driven at 250 km an hour. A Veyron can go far faster than that, but it's the fact that they can maintain that speed for such a distance in such extreme heat that makes this place truly unique. And if this wasn't enough for you, the area has one more gem, and this one is far less known than the highway. Because not too far from the N14 highway, there is a secret oval test track that is shrouded in mystery. There have been rumors of this track going around the industry for years and years, but no one had any concrete information. No one knew who came up with the idea, and no one knew who built it. We couldn't even see it from satellite imagery like Google Earth, because the area above the track had been designated a protected air zone, meaning that anytime you looked at that location, it was just sort of blurred out desert. But for some unknown reason, a few years ago, the track was uncovered on Google Earth, and we finally got our first proper detailed look at this secret facility. The oval is alleged to be 7.5 kilometers long and 2.5 kilometers wide, with 2 4-kilometer long straights on either side. To the west, there is a diversion from the oval banking, which takes the test car into a winding river-like secondary layout. This section is probably used for handling tests once the high-speed runs have been achieved. But based on these images, we can see that this facility clearly has everything an OEM could ever need for tuning hypercar. Besides the Google Earth images, we only have one other piece of really good evidence of the facility, and that was from 2 years ago when a creator called HO Builds uploaded this video to YouTube. The video shows a pilot who flew a small aircraft over the area, revealing the true eerie vastness of the track. It shows a coursing black river of tarmac striking through an ocean of desert, an oasis of speed in a seemingly uninhabitable wasteland. Only in this video can you really understand the epic nature of the track and how this is probably one of the few places in the world where a hypercar can really show what it's made of. And that is essentially all we know about this facility. And to be honest, it's kind of understandable why it's been kept such a secret. Car companies spend ungodly amounts of money keeping their prototypes private so they can work out technical and aesthetic designs in peace. So for a facility that pushes the limits of the next generation of hypercars, it makes sense that they don't want us to see it. And it's so secretive that we don't even know who owns it. The most popular theory is that it's the Volkswagen Audi group. So many Volkswagen Audi group models have come and tested in that area, including the Bugatti Veyron, and they've had such a long history in this country through production that it would make sense that they would invest in a facility in the country. However, they have never publicly claimed the facility. Then people claimed it was owned by Mercedes because of this blog post from a German property surveying company who went to that area on behalf of the Stuttgart company in 2016. However, as you can see, the website acknowledges that the oval existed already, and they were sent to gauge the state of the facility and what needed to be improved. So that shows that Mercedes didn't create the track, but they did have intentions to buy it. However, again, they have never come out publicly and stated that they own the track, and also they allegedly abandoned these plans in 2018. The final theory is the most boring, but unfortunately for me, probably is the most likely. It's that someone just owns the land and rents out the track to whoever company actually needs to use it at the time. It's not the most interesting story, but unfortunately it is the most likely.
Despite who owns it, I think we should be really proud of the role that South Africa plays in the global car market. We have been essential to some of the most impressive feats of automotive engineering in the last few years.
Whether it's Japan's next world car or an incredible new creation from a niche hypercar company. Some of the world's largest corporations come here to push their new projects on the same roads and the same conditions that we drive every day. So the next time you hit a massive pothole on Jan Smuts or overheat on Kloofnek Road in Cape Town, just remember, companies like Mercedes, Toyota, and Rolls-Royce pay to do that. So shut up and just be grateful.